Time and again, I find myself in this place, in mind, if not in body. This city wedged itself in my imagination before I even could say why. This place that seemed to activate in the night, a place where one goes when they want to make something happen, where they hesitate to go home, under the belief that some transcendent experience lies just up ahead. To walk this place at night is to be amongst the pleasure seekers, lured here, like you are, by the air of opportunity. Pick the wrong door, and you wonder what could have been had you met the right person, had the opportunity converted to reality. I walk these streets again to see where the night will guide me. After years of playing the Yakuza series, you feel a strange sensation, rare in video games, of intimate familiarity with the real place. Kamurocho, the main location throughout the series, is Kabukicho, a real section of Shinjuku, but it is also very much Kamurocho, and in that middle ground is where the magic of these games comes to fruition. When I started playing Yakuza 0, this world was an empire of signs, which I could not decipher. Over time, it became a place I felt I knew as well as some of the places I've actually lived. Seeing a new restaurant and thinking, I remember when this place was an ice cream shop. The comfort of rounding a corner and seeing that my favorite spot is still in business. When one of these games comes out, it's like going back to your hometown after some time spent away. There's the batting center, where I've hit baseballs and people. There's the hotel I saw a peeping Tom scale. There's the bar that I somehow always found my way to at the end of the night. They say that the average building in Tokyo has a lifespan of 27 years. Some of these buildings I've known for that long just through the timeline of this series. I've seen years-long construction projects that didn't amount to much. I've seen bar owners find themselves. I've seen the entire trajectory of Kyushu Ichiban Boshi Ramen. I've seen the bubble pop in chunky cell phones and boy band hairdos. I've seen money fall from the sky, time and fast forward and rewind, and everywhere a memory. I've loved this place ever since I stepped foot in it, but it feels like this series has stretched it as far as it would go. Off we go to someplace new. In truth, I have no idea what to expect, but I'm here to listen to what this place has to tell me, to re-experience the pleasant sensation of being lost amidst the crowd, amidst the spectacle, following the signs and the lanterns, wherever they will take me. Yokohama feels nothing like Shinjuku, but being here fills me once again with the same air of possibility. I can just perceive the multitude of worlds humming alongside me as I move through this place. Here is a woman selling egg tarts out of a brown box. Here is a group of elderly folks speaking Mandarin at the park. As of this moment, I have no memories here, but soon that will change. This is an open world that is much more concerned with you knowing it well than ever making you feel overwhelmed with its vastness. You can read the built environment. Roofs of slanted blue tiles, apartments with rusted corrugated iron siding and air conditioner condensers jutting out like crooked smiles. In these Japanese super cities like Tokyo, like Yokohama, the exterior space can at times feel like a gigantic interior, like an urban jungle one struggles to find their bearings in. The way to understand these cities is to carve out your own space in them, to stumble into curious buildings and shops and find out what awaits you inside, which is what this game enthusiastically suggests we do. No tower top view or guided tour is going to enable us to fully know these places. They only reveal themselves to us in fractions of percentage points. But these fractions begin to add up when we begin to associate buildings and streets and landmarks with stories. In this way, these games are helping us better understand our world, to understand our cities as places each of us has a different conception of. A collection of stories multifarious enough indeed to span a city. These are cities that are constantly changing, but the individual neighborhoods are performing essentially the same service they always have. I like to play these games in first person, peering into coin laundries and izakayas with a voyeuristic zeal. These games evoke a spirit of curiosity. Real estate agencies tucked alongside cafes, bento shop windows where you can get your karage and head back up to your apartment where you watch the city unfold from your balcony. A persistent wondering what the many floors of these buildings can house, when there are bathrooms that can lead to gambling dens or remote Russian pubs and snack bars with funny names. If you're looking for an experience unique to Yokohama, you may want to try the latest trend spreading like wildfire through the city. I'm talking about the new craze that the Japanese are calling back to baby. There's no better place to see what all the fuss is about than Baby Don't Cry. When you walk in, you'll find yourself in a room with the cheerful appearance of a kindergarten classroom. But try not to be too surprised if you find grown men in diapers, writhing supine as if flipped over beetles on colorful foam puzzle tiles, a binky in the mouths of some as they wait to be fed formula by a buxom matron. You may be tempted to apologize for the intrusion and make a hasty exit, but if you want to see the real Yokohama, make sure you stick around. Now, some of these men may be associated with local criminal organizations. When Yakuza are involved, pride is always on the line, and these men are not going to be looked upon in this state by outsiders without reasserting some of their napping masculinity. In my case, all it took was a show of my own strength to cause them to back down, and before I knew it, we were draining bottles of milk together like it was happy hour at the maternity ward. The fun stopped when they tried to strap a diaper on me. I guess I could appreciate the perks, but I didn't want the commitment. Maybe you will feel differently. Regardless, I certainly didn't regret going to Baby Don't Cry. It was an experience this baby will never forget. The world in these games has always favored density over vastness, and the developers' attention to detail is what makes it as authentic as game worlds get. Shelves bursting with manga in the corner of Chinese restaurants with rice cookers prominently displayed behind the kitchen countertop, peeling linoleum floors and handwritten menu items like egg soup and shrimp spring rolls festooning the walls like sacred texts, girls' bars with their heavy hitters displayed prominently on a poster outside, something for every taste, the wholesome girlfriend type in the beige turtleneck, and the stealer of souls, dressed in a revealing black dress, beckoning you in from her wrought iron chair, kushikatsu spots on street corners, and shuttered okonomiyaki joints in back alleys, coexisting alongside kaiseki restaurants with limited seating, shimmering signs advertising free consultations and all-you-can-eat specials, dark Chinatown alleys with food carts and plastic red chairs and exposed light bulbs. An environment that becomes its essential self at night in the ceaseless rain and smoke, the constant din of people in motion, vehicles passing by, snippets of conversation that dissolve into the air, the sounds of the city. Perhaps you desire some adults-only entertainment. One area tourists don't often spend a lot of time in is Yokohama's impressive red light district. Here, you will find the bars and love hotels you expect. But the real prize are the ecstasy-inducing soaplands. Now these are establishments where, if you play your cards right, you may very well end up covered in suds after some soapy gyrations with a lovely young lass. The most memorable time for me involved a man who had clearly known the glory of a good lather. Except he was outside the establishment, naked as the day he was born, and I was the only one listening to his cries for help. He explained that his grandmother was having a health scare, and in his panic, he rushed out of the building and past security before realizing his state. When he beckoned me over to him, I knew that there would be no tugboat rides around the harbor for me that night, but I had no choice but to help him get some new clothes. We were very fortunate that this particular soapland uses a special military-grade soap which forms a thick lather capable of maintaining its consistency even during the most strenuous of brisk walks. It looked like he was wearing a mankini made of clouds as we sped through the streets. We had a few close calls. Some firefighters spraying down an intersection almost separated the bubbles from the baubles. But at last, we reached the clothing store, where the owner was very understanding, considering the situation. With that, the guy I'd helped was off to check on his grandmother, dressed like a man you'd never expect had spent the night avoiding indecent exposure charges. And I had a new friend. If you're interested in heading to a soapland, my top tip is to leave an extra set of clothes in the potted plant just outside the entrance, in case you need to make a speedy escape. And make sure to ask for Mika-chan. Like a Dragon, more than any other game in the series, really makes every location seem consequential because of its friendship meters and hidden conversations. The world around you unfolds in a way that is true to real life. This is an open world game making you care about its world by doing something inconceivable, reacting to it. Stopping outside a real estate agency and hearing one of your friends talk about his ambition to one day have a house of his own. Restaurant conversations about the health benefits of drinking hot milk. A trip to the park where you recount the tale of how, back in the day, you took out 20 guys single-handedly. Whether your friends believe you or not is another story. These interactions occur so frequently that I had to pause for a moment and appreciate the unheralded innovation here, which made every inch of the map a potential conversation spot. The studio realized a new immersion technique and mastered it in one fell swoop. The more powerful technology gets, the more realistic game worlds, superficially at least, will appear. This quality of awareness in-game of the world as an authentic place, more than anything, is what makes open world games feel most like our own world, by having a multitude of possibilities that emerge spontaneously. It struck me that this is the best way to create characters, by making them not just part of a story, but giving them the autonomy required to take note of their surroundings and respond to them. It's no wonder that this is also the best way to be in the real world, noticing what's around us and sharing our knowledge and experience with our friends. Many people know that Yokohama features Asia's largest Chinatown, but did you also know it has a lively and eclectic Koreatown as well? This next spot is a real hidden gem. I'm talking about Miracle Kimchi. I almost feel bad even spilling the cabbage on this one, because I don't want it to get overcrowded. But let's just say this is stuff you won't be able to find at the local popo. This place will take some searching, but the reward will be well worth the effort. You'll want to head over to Sakura Lane and look for a bald older gentleman who has no store or even a stall. Instead, you'll find him sitting in a chair with a pot of kimchi in front of him. He may be difficult to locate, but if you have trouble, keep an eye out for someone literally running full steam ahead. Just head in the opposite direction of wherever they are bolting off to. When I went, I was given a very generous free sample, and I'll admit that the heat level took some getting used to. But once I did, I became sort of an evangelist for the stuff. At one point, I was distributing a whole pot's worth of it across the city. And it was then that I understood the kimchi's secret power. It gives people superhuman speed. I'm serious. When consumed, the spice level creates an intense chemical response in the body, which produces a visible steam emitted from the head and allows the legs to take on the properties of a locomotive. I quickly realized the numerous applications such speed provides and was able to assist in feverishly hasty Kohai Senpai confessions, help sprinters looking for a competitive advantage, and aid Obasans trying to overcome capricious pedestrian signals. There's only one pot per day, so go early if you don't want to miss out. And who would want to miss out on the kimchi that gives new meaning to the phrase, "I got the runs"? I like to stand alongside the river, looking out over the city, light catching against the water, the famous Ferris wheel spinning its rainbow swirl as trains coming and going bisect the skyline like razors against soft flesh. Listen to the banter of young people, office workers, moving hurriedly to get to the next destination and the one after that. Just about feel the gentle breeze, smell the grilled yakiniku, chased by a whiff of cigarette smoke. I believe these games, like Tokyo, are best experienced at night. Controller in hand, drink in front of you, head into a bar and watch the barrier be shattered. In these moments, I feel a pleasant dislocation. I'm in this bar amidst the old movie posters and celebrity autographs, patinaed by years of cigarette smoke, cool jazz flowing from the speakers. And I'm in my own reality, which is to say, the curious half-reality of memory, back alleys and dim red lights and a blur of faces. Is this not what we are chasing when we decide to drink alone? To cause the sweetness of the past, to puncture the always inferior present? My favorite type of bar is dimly lit, the music never rising so high that I need to raise my voice to speak, where friends are there to talk with, but respectful of the night's pushes and pulls, keen to watch some magic materialize or not. Survive Bar is such a place. It is here where you will help your friends work out solutions to the central problems of their lives, where you can, under the right circumstances, romance the bartender and bring her back up to your cozy room upstairs, where she will find out about the other girls who had previously been acquainted with the tatami or sing karaoke with your friends providing backing vocals, or just let the night wash over you. As soon as I realized that I could listen to one of the main songs from Persona 5 every time I went in the bar, the first thing I did was put that song on. When I played Persona 5, it was a lonely time in my life. And when I hear that song, I'm reminded of that time. But there's something comforting about it now when I can listen to it at this bar, surrounded by friends who don't care if I want to talk to them or not. Content just to be there with me. Lonely, but not alone. Over the last few years, Japan has become known for its pervasive mascot culture. One of the most famous mascots is Onomichio, who is known for his delightful catchphrases like "nice to meet-chi," as well as his undying love for Onomichi-style ramen. To the uninitiated, Onomichio's appearance may seem rather slapdash, but there is a logic behind the contrasting orange head topped with a bowl of ramen and striped shirt. Each individual piece of clothing represents an element related to his hometown. I had known Onomichio well from a trip to Hiroshima years earlier, and I was a fan, but I had certainly not expected him to show up in Yokohama. Actually, the Onomichio I saw was a complete fraud. Some scam artist looking to cash in on the popularity of Onomichio merchandise was going around wearing a knockoff costume with udon where there should have been ramen, and he had cut-off sleeves and dead crayon eyes. I was getting ready to give this guy a piece of my mind when all of a sudden the real Onomichio showed up. One thing led to another, and the real Onomichio ended up on the ground with his orange knocked off. I realized what I had to do, and I donned the Onomichio costume for the first time. Let's just say that Phonomichio won't be showing his face in Yokohama anytime soon. I got to live out my fantasy, but in the end, I knew I couldn't continue on like that forever. I left the costume with someone I trust to Onomichio standards. You can find him taking pictures during the week in Chinatown. Just make sure you have the pose down before you go. Characters, major and minor, from previous games come back in surprising ways. Each time it feels like a significant reward for investing your time in these games, for allowing these infinite stories to meander and later come together in a way that feels serendipitous. These games are largely about helping the people in the world around you, whether it be your friend or a mascot or a diaper-wearing patriarch, it hardly matters. Yakuza's unique blend of silly and serious comes from its litany of derailing side quests, which separate us from the main path and tangle us up in something we could have never anticipated. There's beauty and authenticity in this world as a place of surprise and continuity. Despite its improbability, there is also the air of the real, because the real world is always stranger and more nonsensical than we imagine it to be. Through our encounters with these characters, the city becomes accessible. We understand our role in it, and our role is to make it better. One thing you absolutely won't want to miss if you're lucky enough to be in Yokohama at the right time is the traveling circus. Now, the circus has a complicated schedule, so you might want to check out hamakitapark.com to see when the show will be in town. If it is, you're in for a treat. Ringmaster Yasuda may appear to have some difficulty controlling the animals, but he more than makes up for that with sheer confidence. His showmanship and love for the animals are really something to behold. If you're feeling brave, you can shake paws with Catherine the bear or Charlotte the tiger. But the highlight for me was the monkey show. Let me tell you, those guys treated Yokohama like their personal urban jungle. I mean, heavy machinery, pyrotechnics, and monkeys? What could go wrong? If you go, make sure to say hi to Catherine for me. And if the animals happen to get loose, don't panic. Just be a pal and help Ringmaster Yasuda get them back in their cages. Remember, it's all part of the show. Yakuza Like a Dragon is about using friendship as a filter to understand a city, a filter through which we can think about our own lives. I believe that this is the summation of all Ryuga Gotoku Studios' efforts to leave their mark on the open world genre. This is the result of a studio in full awareness of their strengths and weaknesses as creators. What they do well, they do better than anyone else. So they wisely play to their strengths. And in doing so, they were able to make a game that makes a long-running series feel brand new. Through the blending of silly and serious, friendship and adversity, real and unreal, they created something that can only be defined as Yakuza. This is a game that shows the innumerable benefits that come from a life of curiosity and being a force for good. This is a many-headed dragon whose mouths blow fire and shoot adult diapers and sing songs of everlasting friendship.